Because I think we're waiting for people to yell at me and I'll come over.
All right, it's 6:01. I'd like to call this meeting to order, please. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So item C, adjustment in the agenda. We do have an adjustment, and I would like to make a motion to adjust the agenda by changing J1, first read of policies, to second read of policy, and replace J2, 2022-23 school calendar, with an executive session pursuant to item 1 MRSA 405-6D for a personnel matter.
I second that motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Perfect, thank you.
Can I make a note about that right now?
Absolutely.
The school calendar, there is a draft, but we just met as a Hancock County Superintendent's group today. We have a statute around how many days can be dissimilar if you have a technical center. And so we've completed that process, and now I need to work with the Teachers Association and do our meet and consult process. So I will have it on our next agenda for first read, for no problem.
you.
So
Awesome.
Wonderful,
we
thank you.
planned out the calendar, no
That
worries.
is great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Item D, approval of the minutes.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from our last meeting, January 13th, as presented. I second the motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Communications and correspondence, Mrs. King?
No communications tonight.
Okay, great. Item F, administrator board reports. Building administrators.
Good evening, you have my report. Just a couple things I want to go over quickly. So first of all, texting and driving. We had an assembly last week for grade sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Just about the importance of putting your phone away when you're driving, and state police came in and put that on. It was terrific. They had live footage of accidents and how quickly they happen, and the reaction time that you have in case a car pulls out in front of you. And they had a lot of stories about texting and driving and making phone calls while you drive, and it was really effective. It was excellent. I want to thank Mrs. Wright and Officer Merchant for putting that together. And this is something that I'll start doing. I gave you a list of all the colleges that our seniors have been accepted to, and it's kind of fun to go through. You know, each year, you know, we have the UMaines, you know, all the campuses covered, and then Thomas and Husson, Bates, Bowdoin, Colby. But each senior class, they come up with, you know, some other ones that you don't really see every single year. You know, and I included those. And I'll start to add those, but some that I'm looking at right now is Bridgewater State University, UMass Dartmouth, Penn State, University of Nebraska Omaha, Salem State, Southern New Hampshire, University of Hartford, Pennsylvania College of Art and Design, Creighton University, Castleton University, University of Vermont, Roger Williams University, College of Pharmacy of Florida, Florida Institute of Technology, Embry-Riddle, Clark University, Stonehill, Johnson & Wales, the Maine College of Art and Design, Northeastern University, Ohio University, Ohio State, and we have the community colleges of Maine also. So, you know, we have that board right out in front of the guidance department, and that's where all of those are. So when you go into the high school, if you're there for any reason whatsoever, just take a sharp right, and there's a board up with banners, and it has the kid's name and where they're going to college or where they've been accepted to. And so a lot of kids have a lot of decisions to make in the next few months, but you know, that's pretty much where every senior is in every high school right now. But there's a lot of great colleges represented. Very fortunate to have, we have 8 teachers that are nominated for Teacher of the Year for the county. And real excited that process is just starting. but I want to congratulate Jamie Calandro, Tristan Bates, Jasmine Ireland, Joe Gunn, Nate Cutting, Bob Ellis, Michael Ellison, and Carrie Cotney for their nominations to that. And I know they will start that process soon. And Student of the Month assemblies for November and December. The EHS Student of the Month for November is Noe Burmeister. December, Josh Campbell. VPA Student of the Month, November was Emma Core. December, Maddie Henry. Rachel's Challenge Student of the Month, November is JC Morse. And December, Lucas Fendel. And Teacher Staff of the Month, November was Jason Melbon. And December is Brian Smith. So congratulations to all of them. And last but not least, winter sports, their regular seasons coming down to a halt and playoffs start. So everybody's excited about that. Wrestling, indoor track, cheering, all of them. Our boys basketball team finished last night at 18-0, so they completed an undefeated season, which is really exciting, and something we're looking forward to in the next few weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Clifford.
And swimming this weekend.
Swimming this weekend.
And wrestling.
PBCs, yep.
And wrestling.
And I guess we'll, this list of colleges is great, and we'll be
I'll
adding
keep
to
adding
that,
to 'em,
because not all the acceptance letters have come in yet, right?
Right.
Yeah, there's still a
Right.
lot more to come. so
Yep. Yep.
That's
absolutely.
exciting.
It is.
Very much. Where's that coming from?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that thing is ringing. That thing is ringing.
It is ringing.
I know. I was like, where is that coming from?
Sorry? Talk right.
Good evening. Nice to see you. I feel like I haven't been here. First and foremost, I want to make sure that people out there know that we have begun our latest round of recruitment. I will be going on the road the month of February and early March to our local high schools across Hancock County to talk about enrollment for the fall of '22. I can't believe it's already that time again. The application for first-year students is currently online. It's on the website, it's on Facebook, and students will get the link when I visit their high schools as well. So that process has started. It started with us having a guidance counselor breakfast. We met with all Hancock County guidance counselors a few weeks ago to not only talk about the recruitment cycle and what kind of visits we would have and presentations we would have, but also to show appreciation to our area guidance counselors. Their job is exceptionally hard right now with the mental health issues that we're seeing with students. And they were thrilled to have culinary arts students flip omelets for them and talk to them and spend time with them. And it was great for our Culinary 1 students who haven't really had the kinds of opportunities that we would have in a normal year to do those kinds of events. So that was a really great thing for the Culinary 1 students to do with our area guidance counselors. I continue to meet monthly with our Hancock County high school principals. We have a very strong collaborative group and meet monthly to talk about how all of us can more seamlessly provide opportunities for career and technical education for our shared students. So that continues to happen. Currently, we're talking about recruitment, the transition to academic credits for programming with the change of standards at the state level, and also how daily bell schedules at all of our high schools and schedule changes affect CTE students on a daily basis. Couple of program updates provided for you. Our law enforcement long-term sub has done a fantastic job bringing in outside agencies to our students. Right now, with everything going on, it's hard to always bring kids out. So he's worked really hard to bring people in. So we're very thankful for OUI detection class by Officer Gerald Lowe from the Bucksport Police, Trooper Travis Chapman from the Maine State Police, who also volunteered to do that. Andrew Sankey, Director of Emergency Management, was in yesterday and worked with our students on emergency preparedness. And coming up, we have Officer Thomas Reardon from Maine Marine Patrol and Warden Eric Rudolph to talk to kids about the options of careers in Marine Patrol and also the game warden field. So kids are getting a wide variety of exploration, which is great. On January 4th, we had 6 former HCTC health occupations students come in and do a panel for our current CTE nursing students so that they could hear all the different and unique pathways that kids have took, both from post-secondary and a career viewpoint, so that they could kind of see the different pathways that you can go on to get into the nursing or medical field. We also have provided CNA students right now with the feeding assistant training, which is something new Michelle has brought in this year to the program, which gave kids an additional certificate and training. National Technical Honor Society, Michelle Cody is our advisor for that, and we've been collecting applications. We have over 30 applicants this year for NTHS, which is, I think, our largest class of applicants ever. So we'll be reviewing those over the next few weeks, and we'll look forward to inducting them later this spring. Diesel Technology has been busy trying to find placements for internships. As I've reported before, this year internships have been harder to come by. Businesses are shorthanded. Taking on an additional person is hard to train if you're already short-staffed. And at the same token, it's just an extra thing to think about and do right now during the pandemic. So we're very fortunate that we've had 5 students so far get placed in the diesel field. So we're very excited about that. And they'll be attending a field trip to Maine Maritime Academy soon to be able to see what diesel opportunities they have at that post-secondary. And last but not least, and then I'll honor a few students, I'm happy to report Skills USA is back this year. It's a little bit of a smaller scale, and a lot of competitions are not happening, but we're thankful that some are. So we do have a small group of students who will participate on March 18th in that competition. There is no opening or closing ceremonies. It'll just be done virtually, and we'll honor students at HCTC that medal in their competitions. Finally, I'd like to make a couple of announcements. As you know, we do Rotary Student of the Month in collaboration with the Ellsworth Rotary Club. They do a beautiful job every few months bringing in students. They honor one per program every year, and they bring in an outside speaker to speak to the students, invite their families in for a meal, and the Rotarians honor them. So our latest round of Rotary Students of the Month, first, from early childhood education, we honored Emily Keniston, a senior from Bucksport High School. In our cybersecurity program, our new program this year, we honored senior Scotland Farmer from George Stevens Academy. Multimedia design, we honored Madeline Springer, a sophomore from Ellsworth High School. And last, in biomedical science, we honored Megan Huff, a senior from MDI High School. And finally, like Mr. Clifford, we also have a nominee for Teacher of the Year in Sarah Petroulis. Our biomedical students went around and came together and nominated her for Teacher of the Year. So
I love that.
we were thrilled about that. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Travis Wood, the principal at grades 5-8 here. I know you have my report. I want to talk about a few things that are near and dear to my heart. One of them is theater. We actually had a heartbreaking week. The storm came, we lost 2 of the 3 shows. But Saturday, we had about 140 people in the cafeteria for that show. It was amazing. I loved seeing the kids do it, and as anybody can tell you, I've been asking for music to come out of the caf for the past 2 years, so I was really excited to see that. Nick Turner has put together a video, and we are currently working with MTI to put that on the site because we bought a license that would close November of 2022. So it'll be there for a while for people to see that couldn't make it to that one show that we had. Also, like high school, our basketball season is coming to an end. We have a game on Monday, which we were going to end this week, but with the snowstorm and everything, we were able to pull off a game from Monday. We do have, however, volleyball starting. We have robotics starting, art club, and even with glasses, I can't read this. Intramural basketball, chess, and volleyball will be starting. Show choir has already started, so it's great. I still hear music coming out of the caf at night, so it's great. But we are working, we're now looking towards spring, and we do have 2 coaching opportunities for spring. We have a B softball for the girls and a B baseball for the boys that is currently open. For the first time since I've been here, I'm happy to say that we will have all of our track coaches in place.
Yay.
Because that's the biggest team we have. Having that many adults is really important. And then, I know last time we talked a little bit about this, but, so I went back and looked at the data. So for the month of January, we had 50 students and staff that were affected by COVID, where they had to miss time. And right now, we don't have all the numbers in, but the numbers are going down. But I thought I'd share that tonight. The other thing I have to do is with this storm that came in, I don't know if you've been by the school, but basically if you didn't have skates, it wasn't gonna work well for you. We have Josh and Tom and Chuck and everybody just out there every day trying to put salt down. And when you have standing water on ice, salt's not gonna do much. So we brought the tractors down, we broke up, we made funnels where the water could run out. And I'm happy to say that today it was, all the sidewalks look great, and the kids seem to be enjoying the snow. So I just really want to thank them, and I also want to thank the front staff. They are amazing. Getting the kids in and getting the kids home is quite a chore every day, and they're doing a phenomenal job with it. And I'd like to also say that the staff at the middle school is just, in the words that I use, they're rocking it. They're really, they're trying to find any way to meet where the kids are at and move them forward. So I'm really proud of the work that they're doing. I guess that's it. Oh, we're wrapping up tomorrow. The NWEA testing will be done tomorrow. We had a few kids take and retest yesterday and today, and we'll have a few more take it tomorrow. So, and those were, most of the kids that are retaking were out because of COVID, or somebody was sick in their family and they stayed home, that kind of stuff. But do you have any questions for me?
So I know you heard from me this past week with my parent hat on for with the theater, but I will say, last year, the theater students didn't get any type of audience, and it was really an incredible show, and it's well worth watching once the video is up, because it was awesome. And from an administrative level, I completely understand the logistics of trying to move all of that around. I think they were just excited to get to perform.
Yeah, and with everything else that was starting, there was
Yeah.
just no room to move
It
it
was
to the
amazing.
next week.
Yes.
We had pushed show choir for 3 weeks at this point, but we wanted to make sure everybody that could be in the show was there.
Yes, and jazz band started this week too.
Yes, that's right, yeah, tonight, actually.
Yep.
Yep, yeah.
So, also a theater question. I was there, we were helping with costumes, et cetera, and this particular setup for this show has such a minimalistic set that there was the question of, to bring back a little happiness to the school, could they possibly do this show in the gym where you could have half the school at once and half the school at another time to give a performance to the kids at school? I mean, it's something that would be done on a normal year without COVID. We've kind of come a long way. They do morning announcements in the gym with the middle school as it is, and it's a very short show. This show is only about 40 to 45 minutes. So it's a shorter time, and I know, because I know scheduling it in the cafeteria and rotating out was going to be too cumbersome to schedule. But if we put it in a different venue, being the school gym, where we could have half the students at once see it, it would be possible, maybe, to let those kids have that moment, especially when 2 out of 3 shows were taken from them and the school has not got to see it. And it really helps this is the feeder program for the high school and for the Grand. Getting that stage time is really important, not only for the actors, but also for all the stage help that support the show. It's, timing is extremely important. Giving them that opportunity, it really helps, especially when they've lost an entire year doing this. So they were wondering if you guys could think about that and see if this is something that could be done, because it doesn't require this elaborate set.
Right.
Because you could do it with simply just the people.
Right. Well, we actually have been looking at that. So the big gym, the middle school gym, has not one period that's open in it. Okay, so we have fourth graders in there as well as fifth through eighth. There's not one time during the day that something's not in there. And then, as far as the cafeteria, we start at 10:15 feeding kiddos, and we don't stop until 1. So it's just, I mean, we are looking, we're trying to find any way we can. You guys know that I've theater background. It's important to me that we get the show, which is why I purchased the rights to make sure that we could video and share. It's not the same as being in public. I understand, I've been both ways. So we are looking at it. Right now, we haven't found an avenue that works.
Yeah. And the bright side about the video, even though it's not the same as in person, the bright side about the video is that can be played in the classrooms when the time permits. And
Which is when COVID was here, I mean, just keeping us all apart and everything. That's one of the reasons why I purchased the extra piece, was to make sure, because there was no way that we could pull 5 and 6 classrooms into the caf or the gym at that point. So we wanted to make sure there's a way for everybody to see it. Okay.
Travis,
Yeah.
I'm really glad to hear that you got the rights to video it and stream it. Now, could you tell us again how we can?
As soon as it's out right now.
Okay, it's not available yet.
Right. I worked with MTI today and with Nick, because it has to be put on their site. That way they have control to shut the link off for the time that we've paid for. I gave Nick the rights to work with MTI,
Okay.
which is something they needed from
Yeah,
me.
so we just wait to hear from you. And
So it's just, and as soon as it's out, it will be everywhere. We'll
Good.
plaster it everywhere, trust me.
Yeah, because my family, we're the only night we could go was Thursday,
Right.
and then that one didn't happen. And,
Yeah.
But my son, who's now a freshman, but he's a theater kid, he really wanted to go
Right.
so badly.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was just so happy.
That was
I'm
amazing.
honest, though. I'm just a bill that's still stuck in my head. It's gonna be there for a while. But no, it was a great show, and it really means a lot to me that we had that much support for the one show that we were able to have, so. All right, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. I'm April Clifford. I am the elementary school principal for grades K4, and you have my report. Wanted to highlight a couple of things. As I shared in December that I was going to be doing the video report every month, and I linked my February update in case you hadn't seen it if you're not a parent on our site or on our Facebook page. And it's just a monthly communication with parents about what's upcoming and what they can expect. So we've done a lot. This is the longest report I've ever done. I was very excited as I was going through the month. I'm like, wow, we've really rocked it this month. So we celebrated Tuesday. So today is February 2nd, the second month, the second day of the year 2022. Students and staff wore tutus, ties, and mismatched tennis shoes. And I linked a video that showcases some of what students had. You can see in the video there's a celebration hat, and it was a great day. Kids had a good time, and it was fun to be a part of that. We also celebrated National Wear Red Day. Every year we've participated in this since our heart hero, Mrs. Cox, had her heart attack. We wear red on this day as a staff and students to support awareness of cardiovascular disease in women. And I want to thank everyone who took the time to participate in that. I know that it means a lot to Mrs. Cox. Mr. Norwood and Mr. Patterson and Mr. Downs are doing the Kids Heart Challenge again. This is spearheaded by Mr. Norwood. They are facilitating that for students in grades 3 and 4. Students have been learning the fundamentals of jump roping over the course of the past few weeks, and they will participate in jump rope stations next week, and they'll be raising funds and awareness. Fundraising is optional. All that information has been sent home to parents. I know in speaking with Mr. Norwood a few minutes ago, they're still looking for heart hero stories, so if you have a story that you're willing to share, please reach out to the school or to Mr. Norwood himself at dnorwood@ellsworthschools.org. Mr. Norwood is also starting our inline skate club for grades 2, 3, and 4. Participation in each grade level, unfortunately, is limited to 20 participants due to equipment. Each grade level will have 6 skate sessions over a 3-week period. We have inline skates, helmets, wrist, elbow, knee guards are provided. And I linked the parent communication that has already been sent home. And I think most sessions are filled, Mr. Norwood, or? Almost all sessions are filled. So if you're thinking about it, you want to get your paperwork in as soon as possible. Progress reports went home on Monday, and they also received their NWA family report, and I shared the cover letter that I had sent home with those as well. All right, so coming up, we are celebrating Valentine's Day. We are reminding parents not to send any type of candy in with their Valentines. We have many students in our school that have severe allergies to chocolate or any type of tree nuts. So if you're thinking of sending a Valentine with an extra treat, we ask you to consider pencils, erasers, stickers, anything of that sort. If you have any questions about that, you want to reach out to your child's teacher. I know the teachers were looking for classroom donations to have a celebration, and we asked for individually wrapped snacks, and I gave some examples, clementines or any type of goldfish crackers. Those are all made in nut-free facilities, so thank you for your attention to that. And the 100th day of school is coming up. So right now it's Tuesday, right? Kindergarten, yay. February 15th. And we will be having some finely sharply dressed kindergarten students. And we'll accumulate with a parade, and I'll be posting some pictures online so that parents can take a look at that. One of the goals going forward is we have our vacation reading challenge. We did this over winter. We had 26% of our students participate in over winter break. So coming up February, we asked students during February break to read at least 8 days. And their parents sign off on that. They turn it in, and then they get their name and a drawing for a brand new bike and a helmet at the end of the school year. And we had 26% participate in over December, and we are hoping for more this time. Our goal is 40%. So we're looking for children to participate in that, and it encourages your child to read, over vacation. We've started composting at the Ellsworth Elementary Middle School under the leadership of Martha Baldwin and the Outdoor Classroom guide, and so we are doing it right now as kind of a pilot piece in K1, 4, and 7, and 8. And I threw a few pictures in there so you could kind of see what that looked like. And I wanted to let you know that as the principal at the Ellsworth Elementary Middle School, I nominated 2 staff members for Teacher of the Year. I nominated Megan Merrill. I want to read the nomination work I sent in because I think it's important to highlight Mrs. Merrill. So it's my pleasure to nominate Megan Merrill, life skills teacher at the Ellsworth Elementary Middle School, for Teacher of the Year. In a time where community services and support are greatly reduced or even eliminated for our students with severe needs, Mrs. Merrill has found a balance of supporting students and their families, as well as ensuring the health and safety of the staff. Mrs. Merrill's classroom environment is welcoming, organized, and optimal for learning. She pushes her students to learn at their own pace. Students are growing despite the lack of support services outside of school and the limited time within the classroom. Students work with staff on a rotational basis to develop social skills and support during instruction. Mrs. Merrill has worked with students to increase masking so that students can join their peers for classroom activities. The focus on health and safety to foster inclusion for her students has positively contributed to the environment of our school. Mrs. Merrill is a fierce advocate for her students. She has tough conversations with families about getting what students need, from community support services to accessing health and safety services at school. She pushes for her students to ensure that they can access their education. Her passion for her students and her advocacy make her an excellent candidate for Teacher of the Year. I also nominated Mary Lowell. Yay! I also nominated Mary Lowell. She is a grade 3 teacher at the Ellsworth Elementary Middle School, and it is my pleasure to nominate Mary Lowell, grade 3 teacher at the Ellsworth Elementary Middle School, for Teacher of the Year. Your prompt asks what is extraordinary about her. First and foremost, it is her passion for her students. She is focused on fostering growth and development of each student academically, socially, and emotionally. It all begins with her classroom environment. She has created a community, but her efforts within the individual and the classroom incentive plans, planned lessons and activities, and individual and classroom goals has created magic. A glimpse into her classroom is a glimpse into a future where everyone is accepted and loved. teaching and modeling acceptance, having honest conversations with students and parents has created a strong home-to-school connection where students are thriving in her classroom. In this time where students are struggling, her students are leading and using their voice to do so. Mrs. Lowell makes celebrating a success a priority. At times, this can be a dance party, which I've been a part of. Others, sometimes it's a round of applause, but the consistent practice of celebrating has positively impacted all of her students. They all feel good, and this translates into their academics. Students in her classroom are thriving. I thought it was really important to share those two pieces so that gives people an opportunity to hear, how things are going at school and how extraordinary our staff is. Before I open it up for any questions, I wanted to take a minute and thank the staff that's here tonight. As you noticed, we have a room full of teachers, and they're here being supportive of each other, and I just wanted to take a minute and thank them for that. And it's an honor to be a part of this school and this community and this family. Any questions about my report? Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, April.
You are next.
I could tell from some of the reactions over there that before the 100th day, we need to eat your Wheaties, right? Definitely sort of feeling getting geared up for that, right? Busy day.
Hi, everybody. I'm Annie Sargent, and I have not been able to attend the last few months for various, mostly professional reasons, some personal, so it's really nice to be here. My report is actually pretty long and doesn't include a quarter of the things I could have put in the report, and I just got it done today, so I brought hard copies. The biggest part of our report this month is our catalog, which I gave you all a copy of, and our catalog distribution was delayed significantly, and we've done everything we can thanks to the hugely flexible enrichment instructors. Many of our classes have been postponed, so I'm encouraging people, if you saw a class and think you missed the date, you very likely did not, because a lot of our classes that were scheduled to start the beginning of February are starting in March and April. So I encourage you to go online where the information is accurate. This is just, it was COVID-related delays with the printer and with the post office and
Did you guys run into paper shortages?
What's that?
Paper shortages?
I'm not sure the details. Everybody felt so bad about the situation, I didn't want to make them feel worse. That's not what we need in these times. So our CNA program is coming to a close. We've, of course, had pandemic delays, but we're excited that it was only postponed 2 weeks. So if all goes well, everybody will have taken their final exam and had their final clinicals by the end of this month, which we're very excited about. We are having a Hope Day celebration again. I like to call it our second annual. And I think it will be the second weekend in May, but I haven't confirmed that there's not another big event happening at that time. So stay tuned, and we love to have volunteers help us with that day and have as much community involvement as possible. I'll say more about it next month when we have more details. I put together some numbers. We have, for college readiness, we have had 29 registrations so far this year. And this week and next week, we have high school level chemistry class, biology class, algebra class, and a college ready English classes are all starting. So that's exciting. And then I'm going to skip around a little here, but our high school completion program, so far we've had 50 students register for high school completion, and we already have 12 graduates, which for this time of year is a really good number for us, especially given the pandemic, but in any year, that's a great number for us. And And several of them, or a handful of them, are young people who struggled at the high school over the pandemic. So we were glad to be able to provide an alternative. And then finally, I have some data. Oh, the one thing I wanted to say about to communicate with the community as well as all of you, in these days of so many things happening online, everybody is asking us about, can't I do my high school completion online? And we're finding that it's there's not much persistence with that because it's really hard to do it. So I just wanted to remind people in the community that when you sign up to do a high school completion program with us, whether you're taking up where you left off in school for credits or whether you're achieving your preparing for the high school equivalency test, it's part-time and it's tailored around your schedule. So when people think of going to school, they think of trying to get away from their family or their work full-time, but it's a very flexible program. But if you don't come in and work with our teachers, who are experienced teachers, sensitive, respectful, kind, you don't get not only the academic instruction, but the social and emotional support that you need as an adult juggling family and work and everything else to be able to complete. So I just wanted to spread the word about that. And finally, in the fall, we had 123 courses total with 324 enrollments, and 76 of those classes offered ran. Often we have to cancel a lot of classes because our enrichment classes are self-sustaining, so if we don't get a minimum number of students, we have to cancel. So 76% is a good percentage in my book. So this semester we have 139 and 347 enrollments. And our one class, the two Healthy Acadia folks here will be excited to know that has a waiting list, is Cooking Matters with Nicole Guerrieri. Did I say her name right?
Don't ask me.
Guerrieri.
I don't ever say it right either.
And yeah, everybody loves her class. So a lot of our classes are done in partnership with other organizations, which is one of the things that I really love. It's a community effort. Oh, the Big Read. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Big Read, but it's a collaboration. It's initiated by the Ellsworth Library. But every year, in this case 2 this year, there's a book that's sort of at the center of a conversation. And this year it's The Best We Could Do, written by a Vietnamese-born author and illustrator called Thi Bui. And so organizations in the community have different activities and events related to that. And we've collaborated actually with a cooking store in Bath and an Asian cook out of Brunswick, I think, and we're having a pho, which is the Vietnamese traditional soup, and summer rolls cooking thing. And I've organized with people that I've known from around the world to do a window on the world. And then we're having a panel about refugees in Maine. So it's about family. The topics are around family and roots and intercultural awareness. So here's the book, and I don't know if people are aware, but you can stop by our office or the Ellsworth Library to pick up a free copy of the book.
Wonderful.
So I encourage you to do that. And finally, I'm not going to go over it at all, but last month you talked about assessment. And so I added a menu of the assessments that we do in adult education.
Thank you.
So,
That's wonderful.
any questions?
Wonderfully done.
And as always, your catalog is just so nicely, so well done. And
Right.
Shout out to Marilyn Starling.
the graphics, the content, everything looks really
Yeah.
great, so.
The content is mine and
Uh-huh.
the formatting is her. And she does a beautiful job.
That's wonderful.
We make a good team.
Yes.
You guys do great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Andy, it was nice to know too, on page 11, Josh Frost, our athletic director,
Oh, good.
is doing a school referee
Coach.
a training
Yes.
and a coaching sports in Ellsworth
Yeah.
workshop that will be through Zoom. And Ellsworth School Department substitute teacher orientation done by our own Annie Sargent, which is an in-person workshop and includes a tour of all the school buildings. And so if you would like to be a school substitute in particular, we would love to see you.
Exactly.
And all
Exactly.
and
And
all
we're
three-
doing those in person, actually, some of them are in person and some of them are on Zoom. Um,
And all three of those courses are free,
Yes,
Yes, they are.
even better, right?
What could be better?
that's right. We'll see. Coaches, referees.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I don't know where Josh Fosh finds the time to do this. I don't know if he's got a clone, like, hanging out there somewhere, but there you have it.
That's right.
Thank you, Annie. Okay. Item 2, curriculum coordinator Rachel is out tonight,
Yeah,
so,
she's away for
Yep.
a family emergency. So
Yep.
thoughts are with her.
so we are on to item 3. Mrs. Kane, you are up.
Okay, so just briefly, one item tonight to update you on COVID-19 update. And I'll say that the superintendents across the state have engaged the Department of Education and the CDC in a conversation around what metrics will be used to shift us from pandemic status to endemic status. When can the masks go? When can we stop with the pool testing? How will we know that? And so I'm hopeful to have some information and updates on that shortly. And obviously, if I know something before our next meeting, I'll make sure and get that out to folks. But it's certainly the conversation and opportunity to discuss it was well received, and I know the superintendent's group appreciates that. But I know everyone's sentiment is, besides you want it to go away, which if I had a crystal ball or, I don't know, Harry Waters pond, something, I'd love to do it. But hopefully, we're going to continue to hear better news and rates will drop, but we're really pushing that agenda to make sure that there's something clear in place that lets people know where is the light at the end of the tunnel, when, what are those metrics? We need them, we know parents need them, and kids need them too, so.
We all need it.
We
Yes,
all
I know.
definitely need it, yes. I would agree, it was timely to have all those, wonderful pieces about the nominations for Teacher of the Year, Teacher County of the Year, those pieces, every little bit of sunshine helps fill our buckets a little bit. There are lots of educators here tonight. I've been spending a lot of time with the support staff the last few weeks, hearing about their roles and how they support teachers. And I'll tell you right now, we would not be open nearly as many days if it was not for their willingness to step up. And, my student's not here today. Yes, I can substitute. The way that teachers help collaborate with each other, and, when we're short-staffed, yep, I can take your recess duty. All the way around, everybody's doing something to help. I know we've had more messages than we would like lately go out about transportation and shortages, and, we had illness go right through the bus garage, and, we don't like sending those messages out any more than a parent wants to get them. So we're hopeful, and, I appreciate very much all that everybody does. It does not go unnoticed, and it's probably a little cliche, but it really does take a village, and we've been fortunate to be in school as much as we have, and hopefully, we're just going to keep on moving rapidly in the right direction here, so, yeah, so that's it.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you, Katrina.
Okay. Item H, old business.
Oh, did you want committee reports?
Oh, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. Committee reports.
So we met for policy and for facilities and transportation, and we are the same committee. You'll hear from us later for policy. We did have a really great conversation with a couple of the bus drivers in the library at the high school, and they're always really enjoyable to talk to. But it was really, really important to hear some of the concerns that they have in you were mentioning they're about, I think Donnie said they're 3 bus drivers shy of where they should be.
Yes.
So the fact that we have as few delays as we do really speaks to how much all of our bus drivers are stepping up and coming to the plate. And we did have a chance to talk about some creative ways that we might be able to work with that department to maybe come up with some ways to get more bus drivers trained and to get maybe some of the other people who are able to driving the hours and the routes that they're able to.
Yes.
And we're just really grateful for all of the work that they're doing, because they really are like if you hear someone say, do you want to be a bus driver, and you think that's crazy, just think about having to double run that bus every day.
Or triple run in
Yeah.
one instance.
Yeah, or triple run that bus. Like the level of dedication that takes, and the level of patience that takes as well.
Exactly.
Right. And it's a big part of this meeting was to talk about the nationwide problems that we are all facing with the bus driver shortage, because it's not just that there's a new obstacle in place for people who don't know, that it's not just a matter of if you want to become a bus driver, it is now harder to become a bus driver.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not just Maine, it's everywhere. So we had some questions for them because, we kind of have this harebrained idea we'd like to bring to the board, but before we brought it to the board, we wanted to know what were the bones that we had or did not have in place for this possibly harebrained idea. And it turns out this harebrained idea isn't so harebrained, because we have a lot more in place and ready to go if the district decides to go in this direction. For many of you who don't know, years ago, there was a program at HCTC that taught kids to step into the role of a truck driver. And because of that, we have a track that was put in place for that class. That class was wonderful, and then the state stepped in and said, no, you're not allowed to train 18-year-olds for this class. You have to be 21. That's why that is no longer there. However, track is still there. Also still on the docket is that we have, for a bus to be on the road, you can't just turn the engine on and that it runs. It has a set of safety standards it has to meet that is higher than what we would have as in our regular vehicles of our cars, because this is transporting a lot of kids, obviously. So sometimes a bus will go out of service that isn't necessarily
Unsafe or undrivable.
Exactly. Simply that it won't meet the standards to take our kids, and would possibly be too expensive to then put back on the road, and we might keep it for parts, other reasons, et cetera, et cetera. So I wanted to ask Donnie, so do we have buses in a hypothetical situation? If we were to use that track, do we have buses that are well enough to put people in to teach them to drive a bus? He said, absolutely. So we have the track, we have the buses. So then there's also part of the conversation. If you want to know about bus driving in the state of Maine, well, you ask Donnie Saunders, because he knows. Exactly. So it's like, all right, Donnie, do you know of anybody who is certified to the national standard to teach this? Because, if we don't have that, we don't have much. And turns out there is somebody certified nearby that, we could possibly pursue to look at, is this something that could be part of our adult education program? Because one of the best ways to stymie a shortage is to be the feeder program that solves that problem. Not only providing jobs for people in our own area, but providing jobs for people in our own area who might want to do this someplace else as well. And it gives us a really good pool for hiring, substituting,
Yes.
et cetera, et cetera. So, finding out, yes, we have the bones. This isn't necessarily an unreasonable expense or endeavor. Now it's time to come together as a board and think, do we want to talk about, as a group, going down this road? And see what you guys think and how you feel about it.
So that be pulled forward on your next subcommittee agenda?
Well, actually, I think
and
we're at the
inviting
point
us
that it has to be a
attend?
full discussion. Before
Yeah,
we
that's
go as a committee on to
Yes.
the next step, I think we have to have a full discussion.
So we
So
should
perhaps
schedule a
a
workshop for
workshop.
that,
Yeah.
and.
Yep, and then we can invite,
Great conversation.
Donnie
Yeah,
and-
Absolutely.
and maybe Annie, yes?
Yeah, of course.
Annie would be important in that conversation.
Right.
I have done it before.
Ooh, hey.
Even better.
Well, I think we'll just
See?
bring Josh too, and then anybody who is having some downtime, or the kids
Right.
have left the nest, or what have you, you can come.
Anyone
and
who wants to drive a
You can drive
bus.
bus in the morning, substitute during the day, and when you're done, you can coach.
I think
So,
that is the best idea ever.
There you go.
They could drive the kids to the event and then coach
Exactly.
and drive them back.
There you go.
Just saying.
Perfect. All
So
right.
that was our two committees.
Okay, great.
So we'll look at some dates and get that out.
Yes,
Perfect.
awesome.
Thank you.
Wait, do we have something else? Did curriculum meet?
No.
Curriculum.
Their items we're gonna pull forward to next month
Okay,
on
yeah,
March,
great.
and we just held those since Rachel could not be here.
Okay,
with us,
wonderful.
so.
Personnel?
Yeah, so personnel, we've been meeting with the ed techs to craft a memorandum of understanding to help address some of the stresses and issues that related to COVID and managing their work with staff shortages all around the buildings, not only in the special ed world, but in the teaching world and everything. So we're making progress there. And then we also had a meeting with the Ellsworth Education Association. There's a couple of positions in our school district whose members were not represented by an association, a union, so they had asked to be, for voluntary recognition, to be represented by the Ellsworth Education Association and the MEA and the NEA, which is the association that represents the teachers, and so we met with them to discuss that, and we agreed that that would be completely appropriate for the 504 case managers and social workers to be part of that group, so.
Great. Lots of good work.
Yeah, lots of good work.
Conversations. It's
Yeah.
helpful for
Yeah.
staff, and good open lines of communication and problem solving.
Yeah. And this isn't part of our, my report on what Personnel Committee has done, but I just, looking around the room and seeing so many members of our personnel in the Ellsworth School Department here in this council chambers this evening is really gratifying. It's so nice to see you all. Thank you, every single one of you, for all the wonderful work you do.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here tonight.
Absolutely, thank you, Mr. Mercosian. I can report out on Dropout Prevention Committee. So the Department of Education has a new website which provides classroom supports and curriculum in the use of social emotional learning and primary prevention and trauma-informed practice. And you can find this website, it's capital SCL number 4 ME. The high school has been working with Acadia Hospital and Healthy Acadia to support students' mental health. On March 9th, they are starting a new Rachel's Challenge. They currently have 20 students in the fourth door program. Because freshmen have the support of Freshman Academy, often they find that, sophomores going onto their sophomore year, that support isn't there. So they're going to start having students meet with their sophomore advisors prior to the start of sophomore year. Let me see. They're looking to purchase some vape detectors to put in bathrooms. The suicide prevention awareness team is meeting on Fridays. Let's see here. And March 14th is Youth Mental Health Day, and many teachers are signed up to help with that. And I think that is it for committee meetings. Okay, now item H, old business.
I have no old business.
Okay. All right, that brings us to public participation. I would like to remind folks of our policy around public participation. Speakers are not permitted to share gossip, make defamatory comments, or use abusive or vulgar language. All speakers are to address the chair and direct questions or comments to particular board members or their superintendent only with the approval of the chair. Members of the school board and the superintendent, please refrain from asking questions. We are not going to have a dialogue. We are just here to listen. No complaints or allegations will be allowed concerning any person employed by the school system or against particular students. And in order to make efficient use of the time, please, we're going to ask that you don't duplicate or repeat comments to the board. We will be allowing 3 minutes per speaker, and Mr. Marcosian will be the timekeeper. Wonderful. And if you would like to speak, you may come up to the board. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Laura Dyer. I'm Vice President of the Ellsworth Support Professionals. And I first would like to apologize for being late. I thought the meeting started at 6:30. Myself and my coworkers are here tonight to support one of our teachers in the elementary wing and to correct some misinformation that may be floating around about this particular class. I've been an ed tech in Ellsworth for 20 years now. The last 12 I've been in the elementary wing, which means twice a week I get to go to the physical education classes. These classes are taught by Mr. David Norwood. His classes are well planned. His classes are extremely well taught. His activities are all geared to each age group. All students are included in these classes. All students love these classes. They look forward to them each and every day. So the classes are wonderful, and I just wanted to make that clear, having been in all these classes for 12 years now, and to show you that we definitely support our teachers. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura.
Good evening. My name is Tristan Bates. I'm a teacher at the high school. What I wanted to say tonight is nothing elaborate. I won't spout off data or statistics, although as a math teacher, it feels against my nature not to. I wanted to mention that when I learned that Mr. Higgins was leaving us at the end of December, I was a little nervous. It would be a rocky transition. Over the beginning of this past school year, I've been able to work with many of you and him on different fronts. And I was afraid that a new person would step in and all the hard work we had put forth would change with a new face. I'm glad to say, though, that with Mrs. Kane stepping in, we've seen a smooth transition. I'd like to thank both the board and Katrina for your hard work, both during this transition and over the past couple months and over the past couple years. It's been a hard couple years, but I think you guys have been doing a great job. Over the past 2 years as vice president and now the president of the local union, I've seen this board struggle with many difficult decisions, and while I've not always agreed with the final decision you've made, I've always been convinced you've had our students' best interests in mind. I look forward to continue to work with you over the coming months and years.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else?
My name is Gwen Clark, and I've got a number of items just because I wasn't able to speak for so many meetings, so I'm trying to cover everything in 3 minutes every meeting. Something I'd like to share that you might not be familiar with, or you might, Paul is, that our students that are seniors this year, the last time they experienced a normal school year was in grade 9. Our 6th graders, the last time that they experienced a normal school year was in 3rd grade. And our kindergartners have never experienced a normal school year, and neither have our 1st graders or our 2nd graders. And the entire time they've been wearing masks. It's my belief that the mask mandate exceeds the powers of the school boards to put them on to the people and the kids under state law. That the mask mandate also violates the confidentiality provisions of the Americans with Disabilities Act, or HIPAA. That the mask mandate may violate a particular disabled individual's rights under the ADA if they need a no-mask accommodation. The mask mandates deprive an individual of their due process right to bodily integrity and liberty. And the mask mandate is in effect a medical decision being made by non-physicians in violation of the medical licensure laws. That being said, I would like to share some other things. That our kids are entitled to a free education. These are parents' rights as well. They have the right not to be discriminated against. They have the right to be safe in school. That means when there's an assault that happens and nobody calls the parent of one of the people that's in the assault and has gotten hurt, instead just sends them directly to another class, something's not working right. When a kid has tried to commit suicide and everybody in the school keeps it quiet, wants it to be quiet. These are teenagers, they talk. Parents and students have the right to information and participation, so parents and teachers need to have conferences. Parents need to be able to volunteer. They need to be able to participate with their kids in school. And they need to have the right to go in and observe a child's classroom. The high school we've never been in that classroom. But there was a school board member that was able, and she has no children in the high school, she was able to take a bagel to a teacher, and I know this because high school kids talk. A bagel to a teacher that was shipped directly from New York and in front of the kids. So, our kids are not required to take standardized tests. So Mrs. Ramos was wrong. They can opt out. We can opt our kids out. Nobody in their right mind would make a kid sit in front of a computer with masks on for 2 weeks taking tests. These standardized tests, our kids don't have to take. We don't have to subject them to that. The teachers can tell them it's required, but it's not required. We can opt them out. I'll see you next meeting. Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name's Dave Norwood. I've been teaching here in Ellsworth for 28 years, and I don't want to be here. I don't want to be at this board meeting. I'd rather be in my classroom. I'd rather be home getting some rest for my students tomorrow. But I'm here to make public record of the fact that after 28 years of loyal service, of taking on every new possible curriculum matter that I could, from wild things like fencing and inline skating and teaching kids to ride bikes in kindergarten, doing after-school programs, raising over $80,000 for the American Heart Association in 18 years. I was accused recently by a small group in a public setting, and then shared on social media, of two very distinct things, and I won't elaborate. That I ask students to lie to their families, that I tell them to keep secrets, and that I'm using my position to ask students to identify gender-specific body parts. Neither one of those things are true. I've never done that. And I'm very proud of my friend Laura, who stood up here. Our ed techs are the best, and she's in my classroom all the time, and has never witnessed anything inappropriate, ever. And I challenge anybody to investigate me to whatever extent you want. I've always been open in my classroom. Somebody walks by my room, come on in and play with us, because I got nothing to hide. I'm in there having a great time. My students are having a great time, and most importantly, they're learning. They're learning. They're engaged in the environment. I take a great deal of pride in being a physical education teacher and not a gym teacher. I'm sick about this accusation. I want apologies. I want to find a different way to communicate. There are people who don't like how we do things, and that's true of every school system. But there has to be a better way to communicate. We have to start treating each other like who I'm talking about is a human being. That person I want to engage with, I want to explain myself, but I was never given a chance. So I'll use the last 30 seconds if you've got any questions for me. That's all I have to say, except for the fact that thank you for all of you who have reached out to support me. Paul, you love having all these people here, but unfortunately, I think a lot of them are here just to hug me when I'm done. Because they know how upsetting this is, and it upsets them greatly too. It's not good for us. These are just beautiful people that are here for me, and other friends that I have that have expressed their support. I appreciate it. April and Katrina in particular, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Norwood.
And Dave, can I add that anyone who knows you, and so many people in our community know you because you've taught our kids and we've seen you in action. You've taught both of my kids, and they have such fond memories of you, even though they're quite a bit older now. You know, none of us thought that what was said at that meeting was anything but an outlandish, crazy, irresponsible statement, and nobody who knows you took that seriously.
Thank you.
And I hope you know that.
I worry about the insidiousness of it, that other people
I do too.
Don't know me.
I do too, and I worry about that kind of thing happening in our community and the insidiousness of it and how it affects other members of our staff, because you're not the only one who's been attacked.
Thank you.
And I'd like to say, you know, you were obviously my child's PE teacher, and outstanding just isn't a big enough word to say the job you have done. When we thought something might be off with her and that something wasn't adding up in her world, you were the first one who noticed and said, you know, I think what you're seeing is right, that there is a subtle difference here, that something isn't, and here we are. I am now 6 years into this journey with the doctors who are just coming around to see what you saw from the get-go. Your work in this district goes so much more above and beyond what a normal PE teacher does. Your expertise is top-notch. And all of the time and effort. I can't remember a single time when we have volunteered in this school doing something after school that you weren't there, helping, doing everything you could. And I heard that accusations as well, and I thought, no, I know Mr. Norwood, and I know this is not true. We have an obligation to support you, and I feel like this is not an acceptable practice. What was said is something that could carry a bigger weight, and whatever you need, I'm here. And I think you'll find a lot of support.
Thank you.
And I think it's important to note that Abby said it's our obligation to support you, but I do believe that, I know I speak for myself, that it's a privilege to support you in that as well.
100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
All three of my kids have had you, not just for PE, but all three of them took 4 years of track with you, and they just blossomed from that experience. It was so much of an impact on them. I can't even tell you how much it meant to me and to them. And I spent 3 years investigating child abuse as a child protective worker. I know what to look for. There has never been any concern in my mind, ever. You've always been absolutely top-notch with the kids in every way, supporting them, pushing them to excellence. And when you were coaching, half the kids were signed up for track.
Right.
I have never seen
Right.
such a huge track team, because you are such a great person to be around for them, that you make them feel really competent and capable no matter what skill level they're at. You're always pushing them to be just a little bit better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Norwood.
Hi, my name is Cassidy Robideau, and I actually wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but after Mr. Norwood and Laura came up here, I just wanted to say I graduated in 2014, and I have attended literally every single school in Ellsworth, Knowlton School, Old Middle School, Moore School, high school. And I had the privilege of having Mr. Norwood as a PE teacher when I was, I don't even know when, in the Moore School. That was when I can remember. And I always remember every single class was fun. I enjoyed attending. Every single person in my class had a great time. Everyone felt included, and I can remember that. And I mean, I'm 26 now. He's been here, I think I heard, like 28 years. And I think every single person that I went to school with from day one to 2014 and classes after me can all say that we adore, love, and appreciate Mr. Norwood, and he's an all-around amazing person, and that's really all I have to say. He's an amazing person.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Okay.
Kelly, I'll just, I know I'm just the interim, and that I was really pleased last week to have some time to speak with some parents that came, one just out of the blue, and I know you might have to wait a little bit to get some time with me. It might mean we're talking on Saturday, or we might be talking early in the evening after a board meeting, but you know, if we have a policy on concerns, and generally, you know, folks follow those protocols, you know, contact your teacher, contact your school's principals, contact me, but regardless of your, you know, your opinion or your belief or what the issue is, I appreciate the time to hear what the concerns are. I appreciate, I can't solve everything, but absolutely, if we're not having dialogue on the front end, there's absolutely no opportunity for us to resolve things. And so that communication is key, and certainly through the pandemic, it's been a struggle everywhere. There's just no question about that. So no matter what your viewpoint or your opinion is, call me or whoever it is you need to speak to, and, you know, at least give it a try so we can have that opportunity to work together and try to resolve whatever it is. It's the best for our community, for our kids that are watching, for us as adults, and for, you know, for the future of your school district, and for people who are looking and wondering, where do I want to go work? Do I want to go apply? Where do I want to move? All of those different pieces. It's imperative that we work together and find ways to respect different opinions and work out those challenges and communicate. So I thank you for the opportunity to be able to do that anytime. So
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. moving on to item J, new business. Second read of policy.
So Abby and I met with our school nurses last week. We met with Joe Merrill and Michelle and Jackie, and we had some really great conversation around this policy. There's a lot of bits and pieces. So this is the policy that's in regards to medication to students in school. So there's an EpiPen piece to that. There is over-the-counter medications. There's medications that are that kids have to take on a daily basis. And we had a really great dialogue about how those medications are administered, what some things are that could maybe make things smoother for the nurses in the schools to be able to keep things organized. And there's also a part of this policy that is an optional piece of that policy, which is allowing nurses and/or designated staff to carry and administer naloxone or Narcan. For those that don't know what that is naloxone or Narcan. It's the same thing, just a brand name of one. And it's an opioid antagonist. Its only purpose is for the reversal of an overdose. We had some really good conversation around what some of the pieces are and why it could be that it could be important for it to be in schools. We discussed that in Connecticut just about a month ago, there was a 13-year-old student who died of a drug overdose, that they didn't know it was a drug overdose, and in fact, where he was so young, even EMTs didn't administer naloxone because they thought he was too young. But we discussed how fentanyl, which is extremely deadly, is getting put into more things, even being found in marijuana, which a lot of kids have the impression that smoking marijuana is a safe thing. So we discussed also the number of people who come to our school department, the number of people who come to sporting events, that come to beyond a student, which God forbid, hopefully that would never happen, but beyond a student, people who come to extracurricular activities, who are in the pickup line and the drop-off line, and how 1 in 12 people in the United States has a substance use disorder, and the fact that we have more than 12 people in this room. So statistically, if you were looking at it that way, our nurses were very educated on naloxone and the use of naloxone, and they were very on board with having naloxone on the school property. So we have incorporated that. There's also a second page to this that we added that includes the storage, the use, the training, and how that would all go. And I do think it is really important to know that, as discussed with the nurses, that while the training would be likely a mandatory training and part of another training, that it would be optional for people to carry the naloxone. It would just be important for people to know what the signs of an overdose are so that they can call for help if they've chosen not to. So it would be 100% optional for someone personally to carry it at school, but this policy helps to protect folks in the case of having to use it. And I think one of the most important things that we discussed was that naloxone's only purpose is as an opioid antagonist. So if you think someone maybe has overdosed, but they're actually experiencing a heart attack, it's just like squirting water up their nose. And it's also, there is no age limit on who it can be administered to. And there's also no limit on an age that someone could carry it. So it's also not considered something that could harm even the youngest of children. And it literally, I think Joe said this, there's no side effects. If you are not having an opioid overdose, there's literally nothing that's going to happen in that situation. So obviously I work in substance use and prevention, so we wanted to hear from the nurses, because while it may be I may have a strong position. I wanted to hear from them for their comfort level. And we did also have a couple of folks from the substance use and prevention team from Healthy Acadia in attendance, because I didn't feel like it, I felt it to be a conflict for me to be the one presenting the information to that committee, because I felt like it was just a conflict to be on the policy committee and the one presenting the information. So we did have some folks, but like I said, even before we even sat down to discuss, the nurses were already well on board with the idea.
Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the second read and adopt JLCD, Administration of Medication to Students, as presented and recommended by the Policy Committee.
Okay, second.
Second it.
Tara? Any discussion?
If I would like to abstain from this vote, how would I go about doing that? Just because of the.
Duly noted right there.
Thank you.
I would just like to comment, thank you for your work on this policy, to you guys, to the principals, and to all the nurses and Healthy Acadia as well. It's important work. Thank you. All those in favor? Okay. 4, abstain?
Yes. And it just, my abstaining is for conflict of interest, not for
Yep, absolutely.
lack of support for this.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Beth. Number 2, executive session for a personnel matter. Do we have a motion?
I will make a motion to enter executive session pursuant of 1 MRSA 4056D for a personnel matter.
Second? Any discussion?
I'll note that in the minutes as well, that you are absolutely in favor, but that due to conflict
Thank
of
you.
interest, that way it's clear.
Thank you.
Just so folks know, we will go into executive session, and then when we're done, we will come back live to take a vote.
Should we do calendar announcements before?
Sure.
Yeah.
No action is
Sure.
Okay.
All right. So our next school board workshop is Tuesday, February 22nd at 6 p.m. here in council chambers. And our next school board meeting is Thursday, March 10th, 6 p.m. here in council chambers.
I want to thank everybody for
Yes.
coming out today.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
You guys are rock stars, and you're
Thank you,
what makes
everybody.
the school so wonderful.
We haven't voted on executive session.
Oh,
you doing now?
What are we doing?
What are they doing? What are we
We're
doing?
not, we're coming out of
We can
executive
bring them
session.
and leave them under the table, but they can't go on top of
So
it.
do you have a vote, you have to vote, Kelly?
Yeah.
I think we have to vote.
To leave, to adjourn the meeting?
Well, we have to vote to adjourn, but we
What
also
do you
have to
need
vote
to vote on?
We need to vote to,
What's the motion?
that we're going to, it would be
Hire
a
Jack.
motion to hire Jack as a
Oh, no, sorry, what did you
search
need?
committee
No, I
Sorry.
consultant.
I
Oh, committee,
I
search
tried to
committee
watch it up. I
consultant.
really did.
To obtain the legal
I
service.
did that, that's fine.
Yes.
Oh, wait, no, we don't.
Do you have a motion written out? I didn't put it on there.
I can,
Well, we don't need to, we need to. We need to vote.
Or is it a consensus?
You don't need to, but for the good of the order, I'm gonna